this is one of my older students, and it's a very short clip, so I'll tell you about it before it happens. This is an 18-year-old who, as a 14-year-old, came to my classes with his mother, because his mother was one of my graduate students, and she said, well, my son has dyslexia, and he's 14, and I said, bring him, I don't care. The classes are at night. The first one met from 4:30 to 7, and the second one met from 7 to 10 at night, and he's a 14-year-old kid, right? He was there, learning, raising his hand before anybody else, because the class had to do with a lot of strategies. And he said, oh, I get that one. Everybody else was kind of looking at him like, really? And he would model for me, so he was great. Well, he's 18 now. He still has a bit of a phonemic awareness deficit. He's going to college, and his spelling was suffering. So I said, why don't you come to my group? And I had an 18-year-old, a 54-year-old architect, and a 71-year-old woman, and they were all in my same group. And it was kind of fun. So, and they learned from each other, and I'm going to show you how we worked that. But he had a trouble distinguishing AU as on and OU as out. That was his big problem with multisyllabic words. So I set up this thing called Say It Move It, which is a standard phonemic awareness thing. All those are just foam things. I got them in Hobby Lobby, right? And I cut them up into 1-inch squares. The yellow ones are vowels, and the gray ones are consonant, and I chose yellow and gray because there was more of them in the shop. And because I can write on them. If they're red, it's hard to see. So, and the color blindness. So that's the only reason they're yellow and gray. The yellows are vowel sounds, but on some of those vowel sounds, all I do is take a magic marker and I write the grapheme on it. It's real simple. And his job, I would dictate these words, and this is kind of a segue because it's not all just tiles where he's doing the phoneme segmentation, and it's not all letters because that's full spelling. Right? So you blend phoneme awareness with spelling, and you only choose the targeted sounds he's having trouble with. And you can do it with and at the lower levels, or with this guy at the higher levels. And again, it's something that you can do with anybody. So one kid in the group can have A and I, and he can have OU and AU. So here is what he went in the dictation. It goes very quickly, so listen. Outlandish.
Outlandish. Outlandish. Out. O. A. N. D. E. Sh. Outlandish.
Simple activity. Anybody have any questions about that one? I'm stopping because that. Make it clear? No. Trip to Hobby Lobby will save all your problems. And it's easy, and I have a bag with his stuff. It's got his name on it, so that when I work with him in his group, he gets his bag, somebody else gets her bag, somebody else gets his bag, and everybody's bag is different, but the activity is the same. So it's versatile. Yes, ma'am.
How many of those would you put in a bag?
Well, it depends on the student. Like this guy, outlandish, is a pretty hard word. And so I have a lot of them. But for the other woman, the 71-year-old, I had 4. Because she was that far behind. Yeah, so it depends on the student, and you don't want too many.
How long did you work
Until he got it automatically on Monday. And then I go back to it, because OU and AU are pretty hard concepts. And then when I give him his spelling, I want to make sure it's consistent. And then you know those days where it's like he had it, and then all of a sudden he didn't have it anymore? Bring it out again. And I might have several bags, like, oh, here's my AU and OU bag, and I have it at the ready because I know it's going to happen again. Because I haven't given him 500 or 1,500 repetitions, right? Yes.
Are you restricting it to just two different things, so we had to make a choice
Yeah.
between those two different things, and that's all?
And for him, at this point, yes, I would go 2, 3 at the max. And I always use what they're confusing. Because he's not gonna confuse it, well, he might confuse it with just an O. So I might throw in an O on a tile as well. And then all the words I give him, I alternate. Some of them are auto, so he has to pick up the AU. And some of them have both in them, and so he has to use both of those. So, but it really makes it think. And then everything else is blank because that's not what I'm working on. Yes, ma'am.
Within that, I'm getting the sense that probably he's getting confused like with ought, bought, fought. You then address that as kind of a
It's
learned
spelled.
word and these are kind of outlier words to the rule?
No.
You don't address it at that time at all?
No, because OUGH and thought and all that, I address in etymology.
Okay.
Because it's a language of origin. So for etymological words, you know how you have those traditional word walls? Well, no, that's not really productive. A bunch of words on the wall, it's not very productive. But what I do is I have an etymological wall. And I might have, okay, here's all my Latin-based words over here, and here's all my Old English words over here. And then you'll have the ought, bought, caught. So I address it that way.
Okay.
So anyway, this is a real nice technique, and you can use it. I've used it with a 4-year-old, and I've used it with a 71-year-old, and it works with everybody in between. So this is a good activity, and it's cheap, which is the nice part. I'm all about saving money.